Welcome to another episode of Focus on This, the most productive podcast on the internet, so you can banish distractions, get the right stuff done, and finally start loving Mondays. I'm Ken Freire, and unfortunately, I am not here with Marissa Hyatt because we have decided that for the next several weeks, we're doing some solo episodes. Marissa's done some, and I'm going to be doing some to just give ourselves some reprieve. But fear not, I have some great content to deliver to you because today we want to talk about how to avoid the 4 common goal setting mistakes. And we've all been there. We're getting so excited for the new year that's coming right upon us, right? We're setting all of our New Year's resolutions. We're just super excited to hopefully start afresh. But we know what ends up happening, right? We set these goals, and then a few weeks later, we kind of hit them. We don't, or maybe even a week, we're like doing strong, and then we start to taper off. By February, March, we miss it completely. And what we want to do is avoid that. Why does that happen? Because there's 4 common goal setting mistakes. So let's walk through each one so that you could actually hit the ground running and be successful this year. So mistake number 1 that people make is that you stop short of clarity. This is why New Year's resolutions don't work. Because when most people make a resolution, they stop at an aspiration. An aspiration is something like, I want to get fit, or I want to be less anxious. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a good start, but it can't stop there. You see, you need to clearly define what you want and why. This is why our SMARTER goal framework is super important. And there's 4 parts of the SMARTER goal framework that you want to use to actually get immense clarity on your goal. Those 4 are specific, measurable, actionable, and time-bound. You see, the more you can do all 4 of these things and get real good clarity on the goal, that's going to be huge. So I'll give you an example, right? If you were like, hey, I want to get fit, that's just an aspiration. But if you were like, I want to be able to bench 250 pounds. Okay, cool. Now we got a little bit specific there, right? But it's still a little bit, you need it measurable, right? Or there is a measure there because how much you want to lift, but it's not actionable and it's not time bound. By when do you want to lift it, right? So these are a couple of things that you want to make sure you look at. So a more specific goal or part of the SMARTER goal framework would be that, like, I want to be able to lift 250 pounds by, I don't know, March 5th of 2025. Just throwing out a number, a hypothetical here. Well, once you get immense clarity on what you want, then we could actually move forward on our goal. But this actually leads to mistake number 2, which is playing it safe. You see, what ends up happening is a lot of people use the SMART goal framework, not the SMARTER goal framework, but the SMART goal framework. And in the SMART goal framework, they're supposed to be realistic goals. That's what the R stands for. But the problem with that is that those goals end up being in our comfort zone and don't actually motivate us, right? To draw out our best efforts, we need to set risky goals. Because the reality is this, if you already know how to get there, it's not risky enough, right? Like you already know the playbook. You actually need to make it risky enough where you're like, I actually don't know what I'm supposed to do and I need help and I need to think differently and I need to come into this very differently. So going back to my example, right, of trying to get fit, you might be like, oh my gosh, how do I make this happen? Right? 250 pounds. For some people, that's so unrealistic. They're like, I could barely lift 90 pounds right now, right? That's in the delusional zone. You don't want to go there, right? You want to make sure that you're pushing yourself, right? But if you're like, hey, I want to bench the bar, that might be like, I could do that, right? In order to get truly fit, you might say, hey, one of the measures of getting fit is that I could bench 175 pounds by March 5th of 2025. Okay, that's what you're going to work on. But that's just one part of it. Now, if we talk about fitness in general, you might be able to say, hey, I want to be able to run a marathon, right? That's going to be a more holistic fitness for you, right? You want to be able to define what that fitness is or what the fitness level is. You want to make it measurable. You want to make it specific, actionable, time bound, but you also want to make it risky, something that gets you out of your comfort zone and also doesn't reach the delusional zone. The way I like to think about the delusional zone is it's something where you're like, you know what? This will never happen. I'll give you another example. I'm 5'7". I've never played basketball. I probably played it when I was younger, but like never competitively, always like, street ball in New York City. And I've only played a few times. I always kept jamming my fingers all the time. So I hated playing basketball. If all of a sudden I came to you and said, you know what? I want to go play for the NBA in 3 months. That's delusional. Why? Because one, I'm horrible at basketball. Two, I'm 5'7", right? So 3 months realistically will never happen. That's delusional. But you know what? A risky goal might say, hey, by the end of the year, I could play in a rec league, right? I'll learn the skill sets. I'll do all those things. And for some of you, it might be like, dude, a year, you could do 3 months in that. Maybe, right? I don't know how to play. I don't even know where to start. I know the concept of dribbling, right? But if you ask me to dribble competitively, I can't do it, right? Even the way I'm talking about it, some of you can tell right away I'm an amateur at basketball, right? That's how bad I am at basketball. So you want to make sure it's just out of your comfort zone. These are the first two mistakes, stopping short of clarity and playing it safe. But there are two other ones. Mistake number 3 that people tend to have in not being able to achieve their goals. And this is the mistake they make, is that they fail to act. If you set a goal and do nothing, it won't get done. And here's one of the trickiest things that some of you sometimes, in order to motivate yourself, you post this on social media and you're like, yeah, I'm doing this thing. I'm starting this new business. I'm getting healthy. I'm getting fit, right? And you get this euphoric dopamine hit because all these people are celebrating you, but you've actually done nothing for your goal. All you've done is just post it and tell people that you're doing it. That's not action. That's just an announcement, right? You have to actually act. You have to move forward in the goal. Now, here's the thing. When you are doing a risky goal, it can feel a little overwhelming at first because you're not sure where to start. You're not sure what to do, right? And here's what's really important. Whenever you set a goal, you want to break it down. And you need a system that drives you to sustainable daily action. This is why the weekly big 3 and the daily big 3 are so essential. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you are listening to this and you're like, I don't really use the planner, man, I would encourage you, go pick up a planner. I'm a millennial, okay? Before picking up the planner, I was always doing stuff in digital. I was using Asana, Todoist, everything that I could to try to get stuff done. But I became exponentially more productive when I started using the planner. And here's why. Most of the time, all these other great tools are fantastic. But the problem is people use it as a task management system or a to-do list. The planner is not a to-do list. It's a goal achievement system. And that's what you need. You don't need a task management system. You need a goal achievement system. And that system helps you to start thinking, if you have these specific goals that you want to accomplish, then every week you want to think about what are the big 3 things that you can do to get you closer to that goal. Now, once you have those weekly big 3, you want to break that down into your daily big 3. What are the daily big 3s that you're going to do? And here's the deal. Not all of your daily big 3s are going to be to your goal. 2 of them should be. One of them may be something important that you just have to get done during that day. And that totally happens. But now when you have a system like this, utilizing the planner, what you can start doing is quickly realizing, hey, every week I'm making strides to actually hit my goal. And this is really important for every single one of you who have sometimes a hard time acting. And you're like, I'm really excited about this thing. The only way that you could actually move forward is if you have a system. And I guarantee you this planner could help you if you stick to it and follow the process. So mistake number 3 was failing to act. Now, mistake number 4 is going in it alone. Here's a reality. We weren't made to tackle hard things alone. When you think about doing a risky goal by yourself, going to the unknown by yourself, trying to figure out what's the next thing by yourself, it gets really scary and daunting. You start to make excuses for yourself because everything in you wants to preserve yourself. You start to hit the survival instinct of like, should I actually go do this? You know what? I'm going to go back to my comfort zone. But when you have a group of people with you, when you have a community around you who's like, yeah, we're going to go climb this hill, we're going to go tackle this obstacle together. Now you're like, hey, even though it's unknown a little bit, you have someone who can fight with you and who's going to press you and who's going to support you and going to keep you accountable. So you need a community around you, right? My encouragement to you is find some local people, right, that can keep you accountable, whether it's at church, whether it's your family, or whether it's your friends. Now, here's one of the big problems with some of those groups, and I'll readily admit it, right, is that sometimes those groups, they want to keep you accountable. They just don't know how to keep you accountable. But something is better than nothing. So go find a community, make sure you are accountable with one another. And if you can't find an accountability group or a community that can support you, check out the Full Focus Planner community. Right? We have over 31,000 people there. They're always encouraging one another. It's on Facebook, right? It is a fantastic group of people just trying to help each other achieve their goals. So there's two different types of groups, all right, that you can do. The in-person groups, family, friends, church groups, whatever you can find, or online digital group that you can do. Now, here's the deal. When you are trying to tackle something hard, sometimes even those two groups may not be super helpful for you because they don't know how to help you, right? And this is where my encouragement would be to check out the Double Win coaching program. The Double Win coaching program is actually designed for you to tackle your most pressing goals. And you have a community of individuals who are right there helping you, striving for you to get the very best. And you have all of us on the Full Focus team helping you. You have Michael Hyatt, who's constantly coaching you. You have Marissa, who's coaching you. You have me in the community. There are people in there who are constantly wanting to see you succeed. Imagine what would it look like when you are trying to get this risky goal that you have in your life and you're trying to say, hey, this year is going to be the year I actually crush it. You know that one goal you have that's been on your list for years, and for some reason other things just keep getting in the way, or your fear keeps getting in the way? Well, what would it look like if now you had people supporting you to get rid of those fears, right? To overcome the limiting beliefs, to help you with the system that we talk about constantly on this podcast and on the Double Win podcast. Imagine what that would look like, right? So if you're interested in that, I would encourage you to set up a call with me. Now, if you want to set up a call with one of us, all you have to do is go to fullfocus.co/strategy. Again, that's fullfocus.co/strategy. And it's going to be the best thing that you can do for yourself. All right. So with that being said, let me just walk you through the 4 common mistakes that you want to avoid when achieving your goals. Okay. Mistake number 1, it's stopping short of clarity. Mistake number 2, it's playing it safe. Mistake number 3 is failing to act. And mistake number 4 is going in it alone. All right, if you could avoid these 4 mistakes, man, 2025 could be the best year ever for you. You can go to fullfocus.co/best year ever, and it is an amazing program. But just imagine in December of 2025, you get there and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I did it. All of my goals that I had, the big ones, the aspirational ones, for some of you, that may be starting a side hustle. For some of you, that may be getting healthy and fit. For some of you, that's reconnecting with a loved one. Or it might be to finally achieve that big career goal or that finance goal. Imagine if you finally hit that here in 2025. What could your life look like? What could change? Man, I encourage you, avoid these 4 mistakes and see what can be possible in your life. Thanks for joining us on Focus on This. This is the most productive podcast on the internet. So please share it with your friends, and be sure to join the Full Focus Planner community on Facebook so you can benefit from the creativity and the encouragement from people chasing big goals just like you. We'll be here next week with another great episode. Until then, stay focused.